Good evening everyone and welcome to Gundam News. And we're starting off with a downer this week. For the people who watched my update video on the Gundam Metaverse, I stated that I wasn't quite sure on how representative those two promotional images were gonna be. They say they're for illustrative purposes only, and the Gundam.info article also didn't go into that much detail. But then, a fellow YouTuber, Moody Data, posted a comment on that video informing me of a certain promotional video. Dear God, throughout the entire video, I could only think of one thing. The entire trailer just reeks of what an out-of-touch CEO thinks that the metaverse is and what younger people think is cool. To start off, we're introduced to our main cast of varied characters to sell us on the idea that, yes, they're going to try to make this a worldwide success, and this varied cast is then transported into the virtual world that we saw in those promotional images. Our main character then lands in the most dramatic way possible and continues to move around in the most ridiculous way possible. Our hero is then alerted of a Hathaway's Flash special that's happening at the virtual stage, which just looks like a super inconvenient way to watch videos. Especially if you want thousands of people using your app instead of the 10 randos that they show in the video. I guess at least they're being realistic about their expectations. Then we get one of the features that is genuinely useful to some extent. One of the things that they want this Gundam Metaverse to do is to connect Gundam fans from across the world. But you know, the problem is, everyone across the world speaks different languages. So they want to implement an automated translation feature, which is something that sounds great on paper, but Japanese is notoriously difficult to translate. One of the big reasons being that it is highly contextually based, and therefore things that should be obvious from the context are left out. Something that usually isn't a problem for humans speaking the language, but something that is extremely difficult for a computer to understand and then translate to another language. Especially once you then add in slang, online lingo, and abbreviations. But thanks to this, our Japanese main character then meets an English Iron-Blooded Orphans fan who decided to randomly type in that he wants to buy a Gunpla. As we all do? ? Fortunately, the Federation's biggest fan knows exactly where they sell Gunpla in the virtual world, and then they awkwardly run there together. Again, this has some serious hello fellow kids vibes. What really annoyed me though was the girl who had her mind blown that her friend was able to buy Gunpla on his smartphone. Seriously, do not treat your fans like idiots who are drooling out of their mouths. Smartphones have been a thing for like a decade by now, and buying Gunpla on them is not some kind of revolutionary feature that warrants this kind of reaction. Also, notice how it's our Japanese main character who bought a Gunpla and not the English dude who actually wanted to buy the Gunpla. I'm sure that's just some kind of continuity error and absolutely was not meant to show that anyone outside of Japan will not actually be able to buy Gunpla on the metaverse. But that's how I'm taking it anyways. And then the big final thing that they advertised was the ability to take the Gunpla you just bought and built, then take a picture of it and have it compete in an amazing Gunpla battle that thousands of your loyal fans will watch. And man, did the bullshit levels go crazy here. You can scan in your Gunpla, which involves taking a single picture, This then creates a 3D version of your Gunpla that people can then like and or challenge to a Gunpla battle. I just hope that this is a highly fantasized view of what is just going to be a built-in Instagram-like application. Because, I mean, I don't know what even is this, seriously. As for the battle itself, then, it literally just shows the player staring at his screen while the Gunpla themselves duke it out. So I really hope there's going to be some kind of underlying mechanic that they're not showing, or that there's going to be actual controls that, again, they're not showing. Because otherwise, I think a lot of people are going to have an extremely lukewarm reception to this game at best. And there's no way thousands of people are going to tune in to see two AI-controlled Gunpla just duking it out. Like, that's something you can do if you have a PlayStation 2 with Federation versus Xeon, or like Gundam Seed Federation Alliance versus Zaft. But I will say that as someone who was huge into Buzo Shinki Battle Rondo many years ago, you can make a pretty engaging game where the fight basically fights itself, and you do all the things beforehand, like plan out the strategy and the equipment. But overall, not just the trailer footage for the battle, but the trailer overall left a pretty sour taste in my mouth. And rather than getting me excited about this metaverse, it made me go from cautiously optimistic and thinking that Bandai at least knew somewhat what they were doing, to being neutral at best. I really hope this whole visual representation of the metaverse was just for illustrative purposes only, and that this is actually going to be more of some kind of application thing and not whatever this was. But hey, to end it on a high note, it is going to be multi-platform. And with that out of the way and out of my mind, a new month means a new Gunpla schedule. On the 9th, we were supposed to be getting the entry-grade new Gundam for 1,100 yen, a little under 10 US, but then suddenly today, they said that it was already shipping out, so I don't know what to believe anymore. What I will believe, though, is that the things that it offers will be better than the old high grade. Just going by the pictures, it seems to have better articulation and better color separation, with even the crotch V being its own piece. Something that is even rare amongst modern high grades. Also, the proportions look more lean. Then the downside is, of course, that it's only going to come with a shield, a beam rifle, and 2 beam sabers without beam effect parts. And while it is compatible with the high-grade new Hyper Bazooka and fin funnels, you gotta ask yourself if it's really worth it at that point. Which then makes me wonder if we're ever going to get a full package version in the future. P Bandai or otherwise. On the 16th then, we're getting the Gundam Asmodeus for 2,090 yen, a little over 15 US, a price that is on the higher end for an Iron-Blooded Orphans kit, so I wonder what we're going to be getting for that price. And then finally on the 29th, for 880 yen a pop, around 8 US, we're getting the SDW Heroes Caesar Legend Gundam, which comes with a backpack that transforms into a Crimson Lion, and the SDW Heroes Arthur Gundam Mark III, which comes with a giant Excalibur. And if you want any of these, they'll of course be linked down below. Moving on to the third highlight of this week then, the Zakus and characters of Cucuruz Doan's previous squadron, the Southern Cross Corps, got fully revealed, as well as all of the kits in Doan's care. As for the Southern Cross Corps, there was some speculation on what type of Zakus they could be, and they ended up being a new type altogether. The Zaku High Mobility type for ground use, not to be confused with the Zaku 2 High Mobility type ground type. So we've got some very Afreed Kai-esque thrusters on the sides of the legs, thrusters or vents on the front skirt, side skirts and back skirt, a spike on the shield armor, and then on the knees we have a cross-shaped armor piece. Which then makes me wonder, is that ornamental because they're the Southern Cross Corps, or is that just a happy coincidence? Also, with the way the legs are redesigned, they're giving me some serious Doan vibes, and then combined with the description for the lead machine, it confirms that these Zakus are capable of hovering. So I wonder, are they mainly going to be running around, or are they mainly going to be hovering? As for the individual machines and their pilots then, we have Danan Rashika, who uses a tricky fighting style, a standard issue Zaku machine gun and 2 Heat Hawks, Selma Livens, who takes care of the mid-range support with her B2 bazooka and heat dagger, and there's also 2 extra magazines on the shoulder shield. Then the leader of the bunch is Egba Adler, a man who prefers close combat, and this definitely shows in his choice of weapons. We have the lesser seen Zaku machine gun that has a bayonet attached to it, and a heat sword. Now, back when we only had the silhouettes, I thought that that heat sword was going to be some kind of communication antenna or sensor antenna, but quite a few of you did correctly guess that it was going to be a heat sword. Also, Egba holds a grudge against Doan for running away. Next up then is the sniper of the team, Wald Len. He uses a single Heat Hawk and an anti-ship rifle with 2 extra magazines on the shoulder shield. And then again, going back to when we only had the silhouettes, I thought for sure that that was going to be a Magella top cannon. And then finally there is Yun Sunho, who looks like he would be the player character if this was the lineup for a video game. He uses the standard Zaku machine gun with an extra magazine on the back skirt and a heat dagger. As for the War Orphans then, in the mainline anime there were only 4 of them, but now there's a whopping 20, each with their own traumatic background. Basically they wanted to introduce a bit more drama into the series, and when they started thinking about like how many kids they could include, they suddenly ended up with 20 rough drafts and they went with them. So Marcos is the oldest one of the bunch and is kind of like an older brother to everyone on the island. He's also a hard worker and holds a grudge against Amuro. Kara then is kind of like the mother of the kids and she also looks after Doan. And now going from left to right, Amado is Marcos' younger brother. Guido is Amada's younger brother and is also in charge of fishing. Jose takes care of the manual labor like transporting soil. Tacito helps with the hard labor done by Marcos and Jose. Julian has a red cap and also wants a lighthouse for his birthday, which is surprisingly adorable. Mateo and Lope are in charge of the goat, who is named Blanca. Teresa has blonde hair and she often plays around with it. Yui or Hui is often together with Teresa. Ada is always carrying her doll around. Tita likes drawing and ice cream. Dora really likes talking, but she's also very caring. Gisela is a level-headed person who likes helping out Kara. Ines is a level-headed person, and it sounds like Julian likes to tease her by chasing her with snakes. Nice. Marco then is often seen together with Dana, who takes care of him. Lupe has pink overalls, and Dario is a boy with sagging eyes. Very nice to have that as your defining feature. And then one more piece of Cucuruz Doan's island-related news is that his Zaku will be appearing in the arcade game Gundam Arsenal Base. More details for that will be revealed at a later date. Moving on to the Gunpla that got announced then. We first got the Master Grade Gundam X Impulse from the Gundam Build Divers Genius headline. More details like its release date or price will be announced at a later date, but if you want to see the full thing turning around, I will have a promotional video linked down below. I just find it crazy how different this redesign feels from the regular Impulse Gundam. Like, when I first saw this thing, it didn't even click in my mind that it was an Impulse Gundam. Then next up are some limited edition Gunpla that you can win through the Ichiban Kuji lottery tickets starting June the 4th. The big prize, or the A prize, is the Master Grade Exia, solid clear version. The second place prize, or the B prize, is the Master Grade Barbatos, again, solid clear version. And the C prize is the High Grade Barbatos, solid clear version. The D prize will be revealed at a later date, and the E prize is the SD Gundam X Standard 00 Gundam, again, solid clear version. Call me crazy, but I think that D prize is again going to be a solid clear version Gunpla, maybe of the high grade Exia or the 00 or something like the Quantum. Whatever the case might be, tickets go for 790 yen a pop, around 7 US, and are sold at 7-Eleven, the Gundam base, and so on. And then if action figures are more your thing, on the 5th of April, the metal build Devise Exia went up for pre-order and quickly sold out, and probably for good reasons. Not only does it already come with a nice variety of weapons in and of itself, like the new Luster Sword and the new backpack, but it's also compatible with other accessories like the Proto-GN High Mega Launcher. But then, at the same time, Episode 1 of Gundam 00 Revealed Chronicle went live. And oh my god, is it bad. I'll have it linked down below if you want to check it out for yourself, but I'm warning you again. It's not bad in the kind of it's so bad that it's good way, it's just bad in a very bland and boring way. The 3D animation is so stiff that for the most part, it literally just shows unmoving Gundams, with the only animated thing on screen being the scrolling background to give you the feeling that they're actually moving. Now, you might be thinking that maybe they saved the animation budget for the actual fights. They're better, but not by much. So maybe they saved it for the traditional animation? Definitely not. They couldn't even be bothered to animate the mouths. Like, if this was something done by fans, I would have said that that was a very neat effort to create something. But this is an official thing. Most people in the comments seem pretty enthusiastic about the video, but I just couldn't shake the feeling that I was watching a poorly made commercial for the metal builds. Except the commercial usually lasts anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, and this was like 8 minutes. On the gaming front then, Battle Operation 2 launched their Spring Festival 2022 last week Thursday, and it will last until April 28th. And this new event has seen the implementation of the Zaku 4 and the Zaku 2 Stutzer. There's a step-up lottery and a bunch of things for newcomers too. The beginner's pack is 70% off, it's easier to get mobile suits to start with, and there's a welcome campaign for new recruits and returning players. Then in UC Engage, the 0082 story events for Pesce Montagne were added, which give you the ability to unlock her as a secret rare, and also the Engage 0, which is the main Gundam that she's piloting. Or, if you want their ultra rare variants, there's also going to be an event gacha, and alongside of that, there's of course also going to be some login awards, new dailies, and there's also a trailer showcasing some of that sweet new animation. It might be region locked, but of course that's not going to be a problem if you use NordVPN. And unfortunately, I found yet another reason to use NordVPN for my European and British viewers, because as of the 6th, Yahoo Auctions is now blocking anyone from those regions from accessing the website. So signing up with my link down below or the code kkrt will not only give you a great discount, but you'll also be supporting the channel. In other news then, the life-sized new Gundam statue has a collaboration with Detective Conan, giving us this amazing poster. A new illustration from SD Gundam World Heroes was released, and we got yet more Gundam Manholes. These things are seriously spreading all over the country, and to be honest, I'm more excited about the Manholes and where they're going to be popping up next than the Gundam Metaverse. So the ones that were announced this time were Toyotomi Town, Wakkanai City, and Teshio Town. Toyotomi Town will be getting the RX-72 Gundam X Toyotomi Onsen and Dom X Sarobetsu Wetland Manholes. Wakkanai City will be getting the RX-72 X White Road and Dom X Wakkanai North Breakwater Dome Manholes. And Teshio Town will be getting the RX-72 X Teshiogawa History Museum and Dom X Teshiogawa Kasen Park Manholes. And all of these manholes will be installed on April the 22nd. And just like last time, my big question is, which one is going to be next? The obvious one is of course still Akihabara, but I would also kind of like to see one in Hiroshima, which I think would work quite well considering Gundam's anti-war message. But anyways, as for the things you could get this week, other than the already mentioned entry-grade new Gundam, there was the Gundam Seed Internal Structure Strike Gundam Weapon version that was released in Japanese game centers on the 6th. And unfortunately, unlike what the name would lead you to believe, it's just a clear version of the Strike Gundam, or a half-clear version depending on which version you go for, and there's no real internal structure to speak of. And then for this week's reading material, Hobby Japan MOOC released a Gunpla catalog focusing on premium Bandai. Because of course, you can no longer make a catalog of recently released normal releases. That would be a pamphlet at best. Other than that, there was just the weekly Mobile Suit Bible, this time featuring the Gundam Legolas. So quickly moving on to the Gundam Apparel news, or as we can call the segment this week, the Bankore news. On April the 5th, reservations started for the acrylic logo display X Tekadon mark, which can be yours in June for 1,320 yen, 10 US. And on the same day, reservations started for the Iron-Blooded Orphans Mark X Mobile Suit Items Collection. A collection where mobile suits and their trademark emblems come together to form a really cool design that then gets printed on a variety of things. The available styles are the Barbs Loops Rex in the Tekadon logo, the Flauros with the Ryusei Go Eye, and the Bale in the Gallarhorn Shield. And you can get these designs on a t-shirt for 3,300 yen, 30 US, a long sleeve t-shirt for 4,950 yen, 45 US, and a big size tote bag for also 4,950 yen, 45 US. And just like the acrylic logos, these things will be shipping in June. On the 6th then, reservations started for the second lineup of pilot motif hoodies. On the back, it says the name of the pilot and their main machine. On the sleeve, it has the emblem of the faction they belong to. And on the hood, it has distinct elements of the pilot's helmet. So for 8,250 yen a piece, 75 US, you can feel a bit closer to being Rombaral, the Black Tri-Stars, Haman Khan, Hathaway Noah, Kira Yamato, or Atherin Zala. And finally, on the 7th, we got the Support Line Item Collection, which is a collection featuring t-shirts and baseball caps with popular catchphrases that were uttered in support of something or someone. The available designs are Char's May the Glory of Victory Be Yours, Quattro's Not Yet, This Won't End Yet, Bright's This Has to Work Out Somehow, and Gauman's You Show Him Mafty. The t-shirts go for 3,300 yen each, 30 US, and the caps go for 3,850 yen, a little over 30 US. And all of these, including the Pilot Motif collection, will be coming your way in May. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Char speaking to Garma when he said, "May the glory of victory be yours"? Perhaps not the most supportive of lines you could have. And talking about backstabbing, on the same day, reservations opened for the Char Custom Box Cutter. meaning that for 1,870 yen, 15 US, you too can cut down your enemies in Char style. And this thing is currently slated for an August release. And then let's wrap up this week's Gundam news, not with a Gundam.info poll, but with two polls that I did myself over the past week. And the first one I did was in response to the unveiling of the Zack pod and the Ball Boy. Now, personally, I was, of course, totally biased in favor of the Ball Boy. Not just because it was Federation and because it had, let's face it, the funniest name, but also because it just looked the most real. And also, just the best, I would say. The Zack pod is just kinda a trash can, but with a Zaku mono eye painted on it, and then some feet and weapons superglued to it. And well, the results of the poll don't lie. Over 3,200 people voted, and 76% of them went for Team Ball Boy. And I did see one interesting comment pop up a couple of times. Why didn't they use an Augo for the Zeon variant? And that is a really good point. There's only two reasons I can think of why they wouldn't have done that. Either they thought that the Zaku simply had more brand recognition, or they simply forgot that the more obscure Augo existed. And then the second one that I launched was for Gym Day, because even though they launched a Zaku poll for Zaku Day, they couldn't do the same thing for Gym Day. Those heartless monsters. So I did what I had to do and took matters into my own hands. Now, unfortunately, YouTube polls only allow for 5 options, so I had to cut out some of my initial ideas for the poll. Like, I really wanted to have a 6th option, so I could have included the Gym 3. But regardless, let's go over the current standings with 4,800 votes so far. In last place, we have the Vanilla Gym, something that I was expecting, but when you're having a poll on the best gyms, you just can't not have the Vanilla Gym. And it is kind of funny how, in a sense, it is the complete opposite of the situation with the Zaku 2. If you have a poll on the most popular Zakus, it's usually going to be the Vanilla Zaku that wins by a landslide. And here, the Vanilla Gym kinda lost by a landslide with only 5% of the votes. Then in 4th place, going with double the amount of votes, we have the Gym Striker with 10%, which I do believe is one of the lesser known gyms because it's not in any anime and it has been a while since it's gotten any Gunpla love. So definitely not a bad result for the Gym Striker. Also, I would kill to have this thing in Master Grade form. And also, because I did have limited options, I kind of went with this thing as like a representation of the Gym Kai line. And it is currently having a really close fight with the Gym Ground type, which is in 3rd place with only 1% more. And because we cannot see the exact amount of votes in a poll, the difference between them could be extremely small, so anything here for 3rd place could still happen. What really surprised me then was 2nd and 1st place. The Gym Custom only has 20% and was completely annihilated by the Gym Sniper 2, which got 53%. I guess I really underestimated the effect of the recent Master Grade and its inclusion in Gundam Evolution on its popularity. Like, I was at least expecting these two to have some kind of competition. But this is where I'm going to end this very long episode of Gundam News. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great evening, and I'll see you all next week with more Gundam News.